What's up, everyone? It's your girl Karen Oliver here, and welcome to Inside HQ. This is the new podcast series that gives you an inside look into World of Dance headquarters. Today's guest, David Slaney!
Hey guys! Hello.
David is an instructor at Movement Lifestyle, Offstage, and Snow Globe. He is director of Vixens. He's also a Steezy Studio instructor.
Yes.
Let us know a little bit more about you.
Yes, I was with Steezy Studio. I'm also currently working with a new app called Moves with a Z. You guys should check them out. And I work at S1L Studio in Irvine weekly. But yeah, I'm teaching a lot of classes, working with my company on a weekly basis, and that's pretty much it. My schedule is dance every day.
Correct.
Yeah.
We're just gonna start off. We want to know a little bit about your origin story, how you started dancing, and how you became the dance community pioneer that you are.
Yes. Wow. Take me like all the way back. Well, I started dancing, I guess like we all have our story of dancing as a kid, as a teenager, on the playground. But I really started dancing seriously around high school. Mm-hmm. I was doing sports before that, like dancing with my dad and whatnot. Dancing with my dad. My dad was my football coach for a while, and then I ran track. But that just never spoke to me. And then when I took my first dance class, I felt like I was finally in my safe space. I did studio dance for a while, and then that took me onto dance team for high school, which evolved into auditioning for my first agency. Rest in peace to my dance teacher, Brenda Kincaid. She died of breast cancer.
I'm so sorry for
when I was a senior in high school, but she was the first person to encourage me to pursue dance as like a career. So back when there was that agency, what were they called? Because they don't even exist anymore. Gosh, I can't even remember the name. But I was signed to an agency, and then I switched and went to Clear Talent Group for a while. But before even all of that started, like, let's take you back. Like, I danced at Disneyland for a while. And while I was at Disney, I met some friends who were in the dance community. And they were dancing on TM, they were dancing on Barcotta Modern, Cava Modern, all of the like colleges that were around at the time.
Right.
And me coming from Inland Empire, because I grew up in Moreno Valley, I wasn't exposed to the dance community. We didn't have teams out there like that.
Right.
Essentially, I guess we had 909, but that was in Riverside, and they weren't what they were now. So I didn't even know like the dance community existed past America's Best Dance Crew. Right. Like that was my exposure, Fanny Pack, all of that. And so when I got to Disney and I started working, I had a friend invite me to come to like the team auditions, and he was like, first he was like, come teach a class. So I think I taught like a workshop for them. He's like, you should audition. I'm like, audition? But I did audition, and it ended up being a really good experience because that was my leeway into obviously like what I'm doing now. Right. Just to see so many people that were dancing because they loved to dance, and they were adults, and it was just such a beautiful scene to be a part of. A lot of them had been doing it for so long, but I felt very welcomed, just like I had when I was like a young kid, you know, to come into a new space. And slowly those things evolved into, you know, jumping onto other teams, which I can get more deeper into. But I'm like now fast forwarding to, I don't want to skip too far, right? From Barcotta Modern, which was the first team I joined, B-Mod, which no longer exists, but they were my first team, and they were, I think originally out of Cal Poly Pomona, or associated with Cal Poly Pomona. They had like a Filipino group. And then I joined Boogie Zone's Breed with Elm Pizarro. That's like epicenter now, I believe, up in Torrance. That was an amazing experience, and so many people come from the Breed background. I'm not gonna name drop, but like it's just really cool to know that like the roster of people that come from Breed.
Right, really talented.
Just people. Really talented people, which is what attracted me in the first place.
100%.
And then moved forward with Mischief Makers and Beau Foreigner, which was so great to be on these teams that were exhibition.
Right.
So we were just dancing because we wanted to, and we weren't competing. They were very elite at the time. Mischief is very much still elite. Our Maker Empire. And
shout out Bo.
Yeah, shout out Bo. He's
with
amazing.
us at Summit, this past Summit. We are huge fans.
So yeah,
love
that's
him.
my mentor, that's my
Shout out.
friend. We love you so much. And then from there, I kind of started doing Vixens. It started as a project.
Right.
And it just slowly evolved into something more.
Right.
And now it's a company, and I have my LLC, and we're moving forward and making moves in the community.
Making moves, making big moves.
It's just been really fun. It's been a long journey, and that was such a long spiel. I have to get used to myself talking over the next hour. But yeah, it was kind of the slow, short version of like team jumping and my experience.
Just kind of building yourself up.
Yeah.
But I'm really curious to know when the first time you put on a heel was. The first time you danced in a heel was.
Okay, this is a fun story. So it was actually in high school. My dance teacher, she used to choreograph for different shows in Vegas. She had like a little residency. Anyway, she was signed with Block at the time. So she would come back and like be inspired and teach like, I guess, heels inspired routines. And even though we were in high school, she would tell us, like, you know, for those of you who are going into auditions, like, these are things that you would need to know. And me just being inspired by, you know, Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera at the time. I think Burlesque came out when I was a senior in high school.
Incredible movie.
You know, so I was that was all inspiration. But anyway, I choreographed a piece in high school that ended up being in the showcase for our show at the time, and it was a heels number. And I remember the girls saying, like, the choreography is so hard, like, you don't know what it's like to dance in a heel, like, you can't, you're telling us to do things that are like impossible, right? And I was like, oh my gosh, like, okay, whatever. So I went to the mall and I like looked around and I bought a pair of heels that like just fit me. And I was like, I'm gonna go home and practice, and if I can do this choreography, like, I don't want to hear them complaining. That was my mindset at the time. Like, if I can do it and I don't wear heels, then like, you guys can do it too. So I came in with my heels, and they were like, and I was just doing this choreography, no training. It looked crazy probably, you know. But I felt really confident at the time, and they also were like, oh, really impressed. So that's kind of what started it. And from
I'm gonna prove a point. I can do this. If I can do this, so can you.
Exactly.
Let me put on this heel.
Exactly. And from there, like, people knew that I could dance in a heel, but it wasn't something I had done on a stage yet. And so joining Barcotta Modern, B-Mod, they, you know, have the structure of the tutting piece and the really heavy male hip-hop piece, and then like the girls piece, which was like 30 seconds, and you know, you do something sassy and then you walk away and the rest of the set counts, you know. I was always like, what? Like, there's so many girls on these teams, like, why are they not being highlighted longer than this? And when I came in, I definitely wanted to showcase choreography, but I had this idea of like doing choreo day in a heel just for fun. And when I did, they ate it up, and they were like, oh, we have to do this. We have to do a heels piece for the girls. I was like, how? Like, none of us dance in heels like that, you know? And that's...
Which is such a huge process, too, to be able to get to dance in a heel. Just putting it on is not the easiest
thing, which we'll get to.
We will get to that.
Yeah. But that was the beginning of what started a very long journey. I never wanted to be known for dancing in heels, so when we did that piece, like, I didn't pick the costume. My friend, shout out to my bestie Samantha Mendoza, if you ever watch this podcast, she was like, red heels, red bras, like, let's go for it. If we're gonna do it, let's do it, you know? And I was like, wow, like, that's so powerful. And we had different women of all shapes and sizes, and so I think for other women and other dancers in the community to see that, like, representation of themselves, and them doing it so confidently was a moment, you know? It was like the crowd was crazy. I had never experienced like energy like that either. And obviously me being the only male on stage just like gave it such a different like dynamic.
100%.
It was a very fun powerful piece. We danced to Milkshake by Khalees. And yeah, you guys can look it up. It's on YouTube somewhere.
Somewhere.
And after that piece, I couldn't get away from it. And it wasn't a bad thing, but I couldn't escape it. Like every time I went somewhere, like, oh, you're the guy with the red heels, or you were the guy that did the Milkshake piece. And so it kind of followed me. And then on the team, I was expected to top that. So every set after, heels piece, what can we do? Like, and that wasn't my intention. It became a thing.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, like now I'm like stressed. But that's kind of how it all began.
No, I mean, I also feel like it's super interesting to see that there wasn't a girls piece. There wasn't a girls moment when people that don't really know a lot about dance, when you're thinking about dance, you're normally thinking that it's a more feminine directed style.
Oh, definitely. Growing up,
or sport itself is just like very much about girls or dancers. So like it's really interesting to hear that actually it was rare that the community had girls pieces within their sets, and that just kind of started when you started coming up.
I mean, not to go on a tangent, but like that's a conversation in itself. Like the dance is heavily a female dominated industry. And ratio to male dancers, it is like every 3 females to like your 1 guy.
Exactly.
But almost all the teams are ran by men. Almost all the pieces are done by men.
Yeah.
Almost all the choreographers you guys know are males, you know. The lineups of these rosters, like heavily male dominated. I mean, it's changed a lot now, and there are so many amazing female choreographers. But like coming up, I always thought that was so strange.
So interesting. There's very much this kind of like wave that we're following where we see like a spike in more like heavy male, heavy female, heavy male, and it just kind of feel like goes in waves. But it's just like interesting to take note of that it's not just a female, associated like art form, and that there are kind of those like power dynamics that kind of switch on and off from that. But let's just go back for a second to your introduction to dancing, and let's focus on World of Dance for a second and talk about your first World of Dance performance ever. So let's just like watch it.
Oh my gosh, okay, because we were mentioning this before the podcast came on.
100%. And I'm just like so excited for you to watch this for a second.
Fully
take
absorb
in
it.
This is 2012. This is Barcotta Modern. We have David performing with them. I'm just so excited to just take a look at his origin breakout World of Dance performance.
So it's a little bit before that, Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Wow. I'm just like, the range of motion is humongous. Like you're so incredibly tall, but you're moving everywhere, and you're wearing a 4-inch heel.
My neck could never do this now. This is crazy. Okay, first of all, I feel like we were still allowed to have explicit lyrics back then. This was in the LA Convention Center. Yo, she's wild.
I mean, I will say all of these dancers on stage are killing it.
This was so fun.
Are they all wearing heels, or is it
No,
just
so
you?
it's just me, and this was what I was thinking. So I decided to put the heels on last minute before, because again, we were known for doing heels, and this piece wasn't a heels piece.
Right.
So last minute backstage, they were like, you should do it. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it because all season we've been doing heels pieces. Why not? But I had not practiced. So it was crazy. Like 10 minutes before I was running this with heels on.
That's insane to me. See, I just need to talk about that because just learning a piece of choreography without a heel on is a completely different experience to learning it with a heel on. Your weight changes are just something that is it's completely different.
Yes,
2 different worlds.
It is.
So you putting on a heel 10 minutes before going on stage and being able to not fall is absolutely mind-blowing.
Yeah,
and the core strength required for that is insane. And the fact that this is 2012, so imagine what he can do now.
Yeah, thank you.
You know?
She's so kind, you guys. She's really nice. Oh my goodness, that's a fun memory.
What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are I probably couldn't do that now if you asked me to do all of that, but I just miss the rawness in the way I was dancing then and the fearlessness. I think there was like a authenticity to just like who I was at the time. You know, you're growing up, you're dancing with a lot of your friends, you're partying, you're having a good time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, good memory.
Good times.
Good memory, for sure.
Let's kind of like speed on forward to recently.
Okay.
We had our Bay Area
Yes, we
World of
did,
Dance
which
event.
was so much fun.
It was incredible. We had David there as a judge.
Yes.
And not only was he judging, he was also performing with Vixens as a headliner performance. So we're just going to take a look at that to kind of just see the evolution of David Slaney from 2012 to all the way to 2025.
Yes, wow.
And how your company has changed and the people that you surround yourself with have changed so much within that time. So just take a look.
When you say it like that, 2012 to 2025 is insane.
Yeah, it's been an evolution, and you've been with World of Dance has been right there with you, you know, throughout your journey. So I think it's important to recognize that there's so much growth that comes from this place.
Yeah.
But,
oh, you're gonna have to go back a little bit.
oh, okay. There we go. There he is.
First of all.
Wow. This is so clean.
And it's the Cheetah Girls, like for me. They really did it for me. Yeah, they're ad-libs.
Wow. This is just so incredible. I feel like you are so incredibly creative with the themes that you choose for your sets.
Oh, thank you.
Especially for like a headliner performance, it's always important to like give that crowd appeal in there and be able to hype up the audience, and I feel like Vixens never fails to do that, especially with this performance. I mean, I was sitting in that audience and I don't think I've ever heard it get louder than that. It was so loud in there. It was incredible. David came on stage and then the crowd went even more crazy.
Always fun.
It was a great experience to have you there. What is it like for you to see yourself in 2012 just performing and / competing, right, in 2012, to now being a headliner for World of Dance and coming back as a judge?
It's like surreal. I'm still honestly trying to settle into like this new era of what it means to be on the other side, because I've been involved for so long, and it's been like a very natural transition, but it feels, if I'm honest, a little uncomfortable at times, because I'm still so much a fan of dance, and I admire so many people around me. Just like recently we were in the Bay, I'm sitting next to Tobias.
Yeah.
Yes, I want to make sure I say it correctly.
Right. Shout out Tobias.
Yeah, shout out Tobias. And he's just like someone who's so incredible and so impactful. And he's just one of many people, you know, that I've been able to sit next to. But it's like moments like that where I'm sitting next to people I idolize and that I also admire, but the people in the audience see me in that same light. And so just trying to balance what that is, and for me, you know.
I mean, I definitely feel like, or at least this is something I've heard from people that come to judge for World of Dance, but it's a lot of like imposter syndrome, because it's a lot of incredible dancers, choreographers, leaders of the industry that are just coming together for one event, and just being able to have the panel that we have. I feel like a lot of people just kind of feel that pressure of like, wow, I'm sitting next to people that I've idolized for so long.
Oh my gosh, I agree. I think people have this view of dancers that like everyone has like a huge ego, and like I think because we're all so much in our bubble and we do what we do so often, we don't actually get to like congregate, like get together as much as people would think. Like yes, in a dance class we're seeing each other, but we're not sitting down like this having like a one-on-one conversation. And so when you do have those opportunities, it does feel a little scary at times, but overall they're always really fun, and I'm always happy to give back in that capacity.
100%.
The teams just are so grateful to have the feedback from the judges, and I remember what it felt like to be on stage, and even just to have like a judge acknowledge you, like either whether it was like on the notes or when you see them during the show and they're like, hey, like great job on stage. It's just like so, like, it can be life-changing, but that validation goes a really long way, and I think being in that 100%. Position now is, I don't take it for granted.
100%. As someone that, I mean, I've also competed in the past, and I know that seeing the judges table is always just like such a shocking experience, because as I said before, these are all people that we idolize, and the fact that they're getting to watch me dance and give me feedback is such an incredible opportunity, and I feel like that's also what draws people to come to World of Dance. To be able to get that feedback from industry leaders from around the world.
Well, and I mean, it's evolved so much.
It has.
And you guys are bringing the best of the best to view these dancers, and I think now people take the feedback a lot more seriously. Even 100%. Just like the way that we are judging now has upped and improved throughout the years, and the system you guys have is just amazing. So I love it. I love what you guys have done, and I think every comp should be as like they should take the judging panel seriously. You know?
Yeah, I mean it's a serious thing. People are paying to get this feedback from you guys. It's something that should not be taken lightly, and I think we really try to focus ourselves on that. But I also just kind of want to know what judging for World of Dance in the United States has changed for you, in terms of how has it changed your perspective on the dance community at large?
What a great question. I don't want to rush into that one. How has it changed my perspective in the dance community at large? Well, I will say it's expanded for sure. I mean, when I watch these teams from out of state and out of the country, the type of energy that they bring is just on another level. And I can compare because I'm a judge, like that's my job, you know? But it's like, at the end of the day, I feel like people in SoCal, not to say we're so talented, but I think we're saturated with so many opportunities and so many competitions and so many showcases. It's a bubble. And so we almost don't take advantage of it the way that these other teams do, because they don't have as much. So when they pay this money to fly their teams over and to like produce a set just for this 3 minutes, 4 or 5 minutes on stage, like they're pouring everything into it. And I feel like we out here, we have the next comp, we have the next show, we have the next thing coming. So I don't think that same intensity is put into building the sets, and there's no wrong in that. I think I just went to Vibe, so Vibe was and still remains like one of the best competitions because of the caliber of care I think that the teams put into their sets there. But I wish every team, when going to a show that people are paying to go to, the teams put a little bit more thought into themes, a little bit more thought into costumes, which is why I love World of Dance, because I think that is one of the few competitions where people take it seriously and really try. It's like a long answer.
No, I totally get it. I think people don't really understand, especially our audience probably doesn't really know that World of Dance really serves as a hub for people to fly out and come here, and it's a huge opportunity because of the people that we have and the industry leaders that we have at World of Dance. People will work on their sets for months, even a year, to be able to come and present that in front of you guys, the judges, and be able to get that feedback. Whereas here in the SoCal community, there's a lot of opportunity, and it's more of the turnover is quicker. We work on things for shorter amounts of time. So I think acknowledging the fact that these teams are working for so long, months on end, are flying from all over the world just to come to a World of Dance regional event.
And not to say like the work ethic of the teams out here aren't at the same level, or that we don't care as much. I just, from judging, my perspective has changed in view of like, oh, SoCal is it, like LA is it, like there are so many dancers around the world, and I'm like so amazed at the talent that just hasn't had the opportunity to be seen. But now they do, and I think World of Dance is providing a platform for teams that you may never hear of them
100%.
Otherwise, you know,
especially for World of Dance Summit, when we have people actually from so many countries all over the world in one room together. It is so beautiful. You're able to just really witness the differences in cultural movement and like how that's influenced their dancing, and you can see it all on one stage, which is just an amazing opportunity. What are kind of the differences that you see within like the heels community versus the heels industry, and how do you see that kind of reflected on like the World of Dance stage in your experience?
Ooh, okay. Well, first of all, it's so funny when people ask me this, because I feel very much more community-based than I am an industry-based choreographer. Although I have had my experience and I continue to teach in LA. That's just like not my main focus, but I will speak to it because I am an LA dancer. I feel that there are two like major differences. One being that like the community dancers are dancing because it's like a hobby,
right?
And it's something
it's a passion,
fun to do, and it looks good, and it makes you feel confident, and I think those are like great things, right? Industry, you are doing it because you have to learn, like you have to know how to dance in a heel. Like 90% of female jobs, you know, in the industry are in a heel, whether you like it or not, you know? So as a hip hop mommy or anybody, like you have to figure it out. And so I think the intensity and learning the correct way, or just the passion behind it, is a little bit different.
Right.
And the caliber of dancing is a little bit higher because you're, you know, dancing on stages with artists and things like that. So I feel like with the community, it's a lot more lighthearted and fun, and you don't have as much fight to be seen in those spaces. And I think in the industry, when you're taking class, people are coming to be booked.
Yes.
And there's nothing wrong with that. And I think when that is, you know, that's your goal and that's your moneymaker, like, of course.
100%.
You know, come to class ready, come to class to show your best. But I think in both spaces, it's about like remembering not to compare yourself and to be kind and all of those things too.
Definitely one of the most difficult things in the world is learning that part for yourself and not comparing yourself to the people around you in the room, and instead focusing on getting inspiration from who's around you. I think, as you mentioned, like the industry is just a completely different world where you're working towards a job. You're working towards getting booked with an artist, dancing on the big stages of the world, versus community dancing is more focused on the actual passion behind it, being on stage with the people you care about, and kind of
family.
Kind of working on your craft more so than focusing on using your craft to make money.
Yeah.
So there's just like a huge difference in between those two.
Yeah.
How do you feel like specifically heels in terms of internationally versus the US? Where do you see differences in those two communities?
Oh my goodness. I still want to experience more of the international heels community in person. So if you guys would like to book your boy or fly me out, please do. I'm only saying this because I'm such a fan of like so many people who are overseas, and I think the quality and execution and level of dance that the heels community has internationally is a lot higher than what we have here. I think, again, the focus is different. I think there's like a quality of movements that comes from like maybe having more of a technical background. A lot of these dancers and these programs overseas like are really strong in ballet, are really strong jazz and whatever you want to call it. And you know, it's interesting because a lot of like heels fundamentals and things in general come from like the ballroom scene.
Right.
And so you have people who never taken a heels class ever in their life, or ballet class, and they're just as amazing.
Can you explain a little bit about what the ballroom scene actually is and what how that kind of is different from what we do at World of Dance.
Yeah, well, the ball scene is it's for everyone, right? It's an inclusive space, but it was created by the LGBTQ plus queer community, and it was originally an underground scene for people like us who didn't have a place to go, who didn't have a place to feel comfortable being in our own skin, listening to the music that we wanted to listen to, being with our people without being kicked out, right? And so you have these safe spaces that, you know, are creating a culture, and we are having shows, and there's music, and there's, you know, runways, and there's all the things that you would see now in a current ball scene. But I feel that wasn't a thing, wasn't popularized until much later. And for a while, I think it was really frowned upon. So it's really interesting now to see like the shift in all of these kids like on TikTok, like doing the voguing and doing the dips and like it
and the heels
and it becoming such a internationally known thing and respected style of dance. But
I think it's super important to acknowledge those that came before us and paved the road for us to be able to express ourselves the way that we do now, especially for men wearing heels. I mean, that has been a whole trajectory itself.
Yeah, because people can claim all day that they were the first, or they were the first to do this or try this, and I've never tried to do that. I think those spaces are truly the first, and they are the ones who, if like it wasn't for them, would we even have the idea or the wherewithal to like know to do that, you know?
100%.
Or would it be received the way it is received now, you know?
And how do you feel that has influenced you as a dancer? How has that changed your approach to heels? And how does it feel just kind of being a male heels dancer that's not in the ballroom scene?
Thank you for asking that. It's influenced me in a lot of ways. I've come to like learn my history and respect, like you said, the people that have come before us. Before, it was just for fun, you know. I was just dancing in heels just because. And then you do have mentors and people asking you like, well, why are you dancing in a heel? What makes you qualified to teach women? Why do you think you are someone who can do this, you know? And those are questions I had to like actually dig deep for, and if I cared about the people in my environment, then I wanted to know the answers to those things. So I think it definitely shifted my view of dance in terms of how I approach it, but also just like being okay with who I am. Like you see people in the ball scene like being who they are 100% and not caring about like how they're necessarily being perceived, and you have to fight through that as well. Like I'm still a man in heels on stage, and so you have to go, you're fighting against the grain. That's like not the normal. A lot of people are disgusted by it. You can literally go on Instagram and YouTube and probably see like mean comments, you know? And you have to just like put blinders on and realize like there are people out there that are inspired by what you do and do appreciate what you do and the impact that you're making. And for me, it's more about the positive impact that I'm making.
100%.
You can't please everyone, but letting go of that was really hard.
Yeah.
It's not easy because you want to be liked, you know?
Yeah,
but
totally. I mean,
it's impossible.
It's definitely a journey, but I think you've done an incredible job of getting to the leader of the community position that you have now.
Oh, thank you.
I think you inspire so many people, and I think there's a lot to say about you not only inspiring other men to put on a heel, but you're also so inspirational for women as well, which is a very difficult thing to achieve.
Yeah, it's such an interesting
it's
journey.
a very different experience being a man and a woman in the industry, so being able to inspire and teach women, I think, is such an incredible thing.
And speaking to both energies and people who identify differently, you know, and welcoming them into a space where they feel like, oh, they can be empowered by this style. Like, it's not even about like just being female or just being male. I mean, it started as that for sure.
Yeah.
And the focus was to make sure that they have a platform. But now it's just about, like, in my classes at least, creating an environment where everyone can feel, oh, like, this makes me feel powerful, this makes me feel seen, or this makes me feel sassy.
Yeah,
like
just empowering people to do what they want to do
through movement.
100%. And I think as you continue to inspire others, and as you continue to see the heels community and industry evolve as time passes, I think I want you to tell us a little bit about what you hope to see, specifically on the World of Dance stage. And with that, I think nowadays there's a lot of teams that are implementing heels and starting to introduce that in there. What is some, like, advice you have in terms of when they should be wearing a heel, when they should not, how to prep themselves for that?
Oh my god,
that was a really long, loaded question.
Yeah, the first part of the question.
First part of the question is, what do you want to see on the stage?
Okay. Well, I think World of Dance brings a great variety of dance to their competitions. World of Dance,
Right.
So it's not always just hip-hop, and I think teams that want to showcase different styles should be more encouraged to come to the stage and then bring something different. I think it's always a breath of fresh air, when we have, like, the Bollywood teams and we have, like, Crump team. It's just so fun to see the difference. So I would love that. But when it comes to heels specifically, I want to see more themed pieces. Like, you watch these hip-hop teams come and they have full-on production style, like, themes, and they just put so much time and effort into thinking about them, and I feel there's a lack of that when it comes to the heels sets. I feel like a lot of them feel very much like, oh, this is a piece I taught in class, let me put it on stage. Right. And I feel like when you're creating for stage and you're creating for class, they're completely different mindsets. And I think people should go into it with that intention. I don't think it's wrong to share your choreography. I think we all start somewhere, but again, like, when you have lights, a team, a stage, people paying to see you, I think what you put on stage should matter a bit more. And with heels specifically, I don't think everything needs to be hypersexualized. I think there's a lot of ways to showcase the heel style of dance and show that you're really talented and be very impactful and empowering without having to do the most. And when I say do the most, I say that respectfully, coming from a male. Like, everybody's entitled to showcase themselves how they want, and me not having the female body, I'm always telling my dancers, like, what's comfortable for you is comfortable for you, and what feels right to you feels right to you. So I'm not here to judge or critique anyone on how they do that. But I think when you are in a space that has kids and parents and all of these things, you have to be mindful about how you create.
Right.
You have to be mindful of the mixes. Yes, like, we want edgy, we want sexy, we want fun, we want all of those things, but I think just being a bit more intentional.
Yeah, and as a World of Dance judge, you know that two of our categories are creativity and presentation.
Yeah.
Which, having a theme within your set is a huge component to that, to help your team do better in the competition. So it's definitely super important to kind of put that extra thought in there.
Yes.
Just, like, it gives it a little extra, a little push, a little more, it draws you in a little more as an audience member, specifically also as a judge.
And if you don't have a theme, that's fine. But then execute properly.
Right.
Like, let the dancing speak for itself. And when it comes to heels, like, just putting them on just to put them on does not enhance the set. And it really, if anything, like, makes it worse. I feel that if you're gonna speak to an audience and you're gonna speak in a heel, it needs to elevate.
Yes.
And it needs to be done in a tasteful way. I just think when feet are turned in, knees are broken, it not only looks not appealing, but it looks uncomfortable. I'm worried that people are gonna get injured. I think it just becomes a little cringe, and it almost looks disrespectful to the art form. Like, you would never see a ballet dancer come on stage and, like, do hit, like, just
you're not gonna put point shoes on for the first time and decide to perform
at
on
a competition.
Stage.
If you've been doing it for like 2 or 3 months, and I think that's what happens with heels. They think, oh, this is gonna make us look fierce and strong, but just take the time to respect this style like you would any other style.
I mean, you were mentioning even like in Europe and internationally or around the world, you see a lot of these heels dancers being trained for so long under different techniques such as like ballet, jazz, you know, really accentuating that line to be able to strengthen themselves, strengthen their legs, their core, their ankles, even down to your feet. You have to strengthen everything to be able to put on a heel.
I'll say this. Heels is a luxury. Being a heels dancer is a luxury, and I think putting on a heel is a luxury, and I wish people would treat it as such. I don't think it's not something that everyone should try it for sure, like if you're interested, but it's not a style of dance that if you've never danced before, you should just jump into. And I think there's a big misconception, even with heels classes, like, I'm gonna take a beginner's heels class, but then you've never like danced. And so like now I'm trying to teach you how to balance. I'm trying to teach you your left and rights. I'm trying to teach you musicality. I'm trying to teach you all of these fundamentals that should have come
before the heel.
Mm-hmm. And so being on stage is completely different from class, but I think those two things go in hand. Like, what do I want to see more of and what do I not want to see more of? I want to see more respect for the art, more care and time when putting things together. And I don't want to see people throwing themselves into a style that can injure them, you know?
Yeah, it's very dangerous to put on a heel. They're tall. You're doing really crazy things in the heel, and it's very, very easy to, you know, twist an ankle, fall, and you really don't want to.
Injury, so.
Right.
You know?
Do you want to tell us a little bit about your injury and how it's going now?
I'm so much better. Thank you for asking.
If for you guys that don't know, he was injured at the Bay.
Yes.
But he was still able to perform.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. I had a pinched nerve going down my neck all the way into my arm, and it was like numb in my hand, and it took me out for about 3 weeks. And I saw so many doctors, x-rays, you know, got all the things done. And it ended up just being like overworked, not resting enough, you know, take more vitamins, take days off. I'm in heels like 4 out of 7 days of the week, and that's like on a slow week. So it's just like, you know, be mindful, slow down, take care of your body. Like, we all know these things, but do we actually like adhere to them? I love what I do. My body is my work. And so sometimes I forget that, you know, you can't go 100 miles per hour all the time. My mind 100%. May be able to do that, but my body can't. So. And
I think a lot of our younger audiences, that's also something that they don't really understand that well. Yeah. It's not very talked about, and it's important to acknowledge that your body is your instrument and you have to take care of it. There are consequences. It's specifically in a heel, as we were saying, it is so dangerous. So you have to be able to prep yourself mentally, physically, to put on the heel and perform to the best of your ability without causing yourself injury.
Stretch every day, drink lots of water. Like, so many dancers I talk to have never gotten a massage before. They don't have foam rollers. They don't, they've never seen a physical therapist. I mean, shout out to so many of the ex-dancers in the community that are now in those spaces. They're doing a lot of good work, but please take care of your bodies, you guys.
Yes. So I just want to show you this quick performance that we have from a World of Dance stage. I've heard rumors that you're a fan of this team, and I just want to know your thoughts.
Okay.
So this is Creative Reaction.
Okay.
This is the 3rd place winner of our World
Stop, because I'm already obsessed. Yeah, they just give it to me every time.
And again, the theme that we were talking about.
Yeah, race car. I just love it. Hey. Let's go, ladies. And this, like, I just love how dynamic and powerful they are.
I would love for you to kind of give us a little bit of a... What does it look like? What would you be saying if you were judging this right now?
All of this? Let's go. Like, I'm always... When I see something I like, I'm not afraid to give flowers when flowers are due. Like, let people know that they're doing great. Now, obviously, like right now I'm thinking, okay, some of these arms can definitely be more together. The rawness and the energy is great, but it could be tighter. Like, let's clean up these feet a little bit. Watch your lines. We could be a little bit more precise in the lines. Getting into formation looks great, though. I love the transitions. Love that it keeps moving.
Wow. See, and that's what you get.
The footwork is great. Like, they're giving different, styles, so it's super entertaining.
It's just, I think this set specifically is just incredibly entertaining. I am drawn to the theme, as we were talking about.
So
the thought and energy that's being put into the work before you hit the stage is so visible.
Yes.
And I mean, we got a little... I know they had props. They were able to give us everything, and I mean, I was so excited. You giving us that little blurb of what it would be like to receive your feedback.
Yeah.
So I just kind of want to know if you're excited to see anything specific at our finals this year, and what you're looking forward to.
Even when I'm not a judge, I just enjoy the show. Like, I just enjoy going to. Like I said, I just want to vibe, just to watch. So I'm always excited to see what the youth teams bring.
Yes.
Like, they're so underestimated. Not underestimated, but sometimes, like, these youth teams, I'm just like, dang, like, do we know how to dance? Like, they're so talented. So I'm really excited for that, and I feel like the next generation always re-inspires me and gives me so much hope. There's so much talent, and they sponge up everything. So I'm excited for that. I am excited to see...
There's nothing more humbling than seeing a junior team that can devour a stage and perform perfectly. Specifically at World of Dance Summit, you get to see a lot of the international junior teams that are just mind-blowing, and you just kind of sit there and acknowledge that this 10-year-old is a prodigy, and you are privileged enough to be watching it. And it's all happening on one singular stage, as I said before. Like, it's just an incredible opportunity.
Their journeys in dance are going to just be insane. Like, if I was a kid, like, how do I top that? Like, being on the... okay, that's a different conversation. But I am really excited to see, hopefully, obviously, like, the people who have been doing really well come together in, like, one space. But just family and, like, I know it sounds corny, but, like, I want to see more communal, like, activities, and I want to see the teams actually have time to, like, come together and, like, have fun. And this is Watts Summit, right?
Yes, this is our summit. Specifically to what you're speaking to, we are super excited to introduce World Dance Fundamentals this year. These are fundamental classes where, studios in the community can be taking throughout the week, as well as our master classes at the end of the week. So that gives a lot of opportunity to bond, and it's so important that we have all these teams from around the world that you kind of get to, like, culturally mix together and learn about each other. I think it's just an incredible opportunity.
Like, I've seen Watts Summit, but I have not been yet, and I just think when I go to these, like, conventions and stuff, I've been a part of conventions a lot back in the day, and I just, being in a room full of people, like, you don't know, but, like, dance is, like, what's bringing you together. It's just a special feeling, and I think when you're watching the dances on stage, it's a different experience from being in the room and sharing that love of dance. So, yeah, I think I'm more excited to witness that, be a part of that, whatever shape, whatever capacity.
Yeah, 100%.
Sorry if it sounds corny, you guys, but that's where my heart is. Okay.
All right, well, with that, that's all we have for you guys today. Thank you, David, so much for coming to Inside HQ with me.
You did so good. So fun.
You did so good.
Thank you.
So professional. Go ahead and look into the camera. Let us know what you have going on. Let us know what's coming up for you. Anything you want to tell the audience.
Okay, well, thank you guys for having me today. I am coming to World of Dance LA, so look for us soon. Vixens will be performing. I teach at S1L in Irvine weekly, Tuesdays and Wednesdays right now. You already have heard of my schedule, movement lifestyle, offstage. I post on my Instagram, which is @DavidSlayMe. So if you want to hear anything else, check me out there. And don't forget to follow Vixens @vixens.dance. And thanks for joining us.
All right, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next episode of Inside HQ. Thank you guys.